welcome to the Haphazard Investor, More Luck Than Judgment, Part 1. So, I've been using, and hopefully I'll simultaneously record on my phone whilst talking to you guys, so please forgive me if I'm not looking into the camera. I'm looking into my phone to make sure that I'm showing you what I do. I've been wanting to invest for a long time. I don't have the concentration span to actually do the research. I watch a lot of videos on the subject, but I rarely have the time to actually sit down and do all the research these investors do. Maybe it's because I just do everything really fast and half-assed. So I'm using Trading 212, which is, I think it's a great app actually. And as you can see here, I am on the, you can do the CFD trading or the investing. So this is my kind of medium to long term investing portfolio. So let's see how I am doing. I started about 6 weeks ago during the lockdown. Thought, okay, I'll use this app. And as you can see, I started off, and it's really small amounts that I'm putting in. So I started off by, let's have a look, investing somewhere around about 38 quid straight off the bat, 38 pounds, and then put a little bit more. But I've been getting my tips from the weirdest of places, like TikTok of all places. But so I've been getting to, and you scroll through, and there are investors that I follow on there, and YouTube as well, and they'll just put up a little TikTok saying X, Y, and Z. So I'll follow it. At the end of the day, I'll let them do the research, and they will either sell me down the line or they'll be genuine tips. So if you can see, my first investment was Carnival Cruise Lines during lockdown. And the reason why, and I listen to what they're saying, but they've done all the research, is the fact that obviously cruise lines were absolutely, and still are, on their knees due to the COVID-19 and lots of cruise ships getting quarantined and everything. So they were absolutely on their knees, as you can see that from their value back in the top left, 18th of February was, you know, kind of $40, $50 a share, all the way down to, you know, $9 a share. So I thought, you know, actually, and this young chap said, buy into these guys because the market will spring back, which I get. It's common sense. I think the market will spring back, but these guys have enough assets and money in assets, because they owned all the cruise liners, to actually, you know, kind of see themselves out of this without going bust, because they can sort of remortgage the assets or do whatever, refinance, blah blah blah. I don't understand it, to be honest. So I stuck some money on that, and as you can see, although it was quite high yesterday, it's already gone up by about where are we now? I mean, it was 100% from when I invested in it. So I've made a return of, let's have a look. Where will it tell me? I don't know. So anyway, I bought into Carnival Cruise Lines, and it was, I'm sure I've made, return is £26. So I put 38 in, I got 26 back, 69%. That's been as high as 100% at one point. But as you can see, I think it's got a long way to go. So I'm going to stay in that long term, because I think that will go 200% plus. So I'm going to stay in that long term. Then I bought some Amazon shares straight off of a whim. Can't remember why, just did. And apart from up until yesterday, they've always sat at a couple of percent loss, which, because I've invested a tiny amount, was about 30 pence. So it really wasn't, I've left it in there because Amazon are really just, I think it's because Amazon are doing well out of this lockdown period. You know, more and more people are buying online, so I think I bought into them. That was my thinking. Again, it's haphazard. It really, you know, by no means, and I should be putting a disclaimer at the beginning of the video saying this isn't advice, this isn't go and buy these shares, this is just how I do it, which is completely reckless. And well, you can follow my journey and watch me lose money if you want. But that said, also, if you fancy trading because you're cleverer than I am, or you want to do the research, blah blah blah, you will most likely lose money, but be careful. If you want to do Trading 212, then a link in below in the description will be my referral link, which means that we both get a free share out of it, which is money for nothing. So, you know, if you think you're going to have a dabble on 212, and by no means am I any expert and actually telling you what to invest in, and you want to try 212, which I think is a really good platform, then, and it's really easy to add little bits of money in and to dabble, yeah, use my link and you'll get a free share, and as will I. Win-win. So yeah, I bought into Amazon, and it's actually up until yesterday, it was down, but then it shot up. So we're nearly 2%, 42 pence in. That's how little I invested in those guys, but that's a long-term one as well. Then I bought into Aston Martin. Now, the reason I did this was, and again, the company's on its knees because nobody's buying cars. A lot of news is going out, Aston Martin's, is on a bit of a downturn, which they are. But because of my Formula One background and my career in my past career in Formula One with Red Bull, I keep a news on the motorsport aspect. Now, Mercedes, if you're an F1 follower, you'll know exactly what I'm about. If you're not, they've won it for many years, and they're the absolute pinnacle of winning. The team principal, the head of the team, after many years of winning Mercedes, is rumoured to be potentially departing them. Now, he recently, a few months ago, bought a massive stake in Aston Martin, which is a personal investment. And Aston Martin, who was linked to Red Bull, ends their partnership short at the end of this year because the guy who bailed Aston Martin out, which was Lance Stroll's dad, rich Canadian, Lance is a driver. He bought a team that's had many owners. I can't remember what they were called. They've been Jordan and Team India Racing and blah blah blah. So various iterations. He bought them a few years ago. Racing Point, I think they're called, and they are set to become the works Aston Martin team at the end of this year. So Aston Martin will hop from Red Bull sponsorship to actually heading up their own team because they've been bought out by the guy who owns that team. So it doesn't take a genius to work out where Toto Wolff, who's the head of Mercedes, could end up if the rumours are true that he's leaving Mercedes. Blah, 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 blah. I'm trying to justify why I bought shares in Aston Martin. That's probably one of the reasons why I bought into them. And I thought, actually, this is going to be a shortish trade. They've been a little bit on the positive, but they've actually started to shoot up a little bit, well, as far as my investment's concerned. So I've got about a £2.50 return. I think I probably invested, can't remember how much I put into them to start with, but it was probably about £25. But this app is great because it gives you all the details. So that's up. I then bought shares in Tesla a couple of weeks ago. The reason I did that, massive Elon Musk fanboy and Tesla fanboy, but they launched, I always follow SpaceX, which is one of Elon Musk's companies. They're amazing. And they launched Demo 2, and it was the Wednesday they were set to launch the first commercial space flight, sending astronauts, actual people, to the space station. So, okay, that's going to be a landmark, an enormous landmark. NASA haven't done it from American soil for 11 years. So it was a real, and Demo 2 was a big deal. There you go, we're back. So where was I? My phone rang, annoyingly. So basically, I decided that if I couldn't buy shares ahead of the launch in SpaceX, because I can't because they're a private company, I would buy the next best thing, which was in Tesla. Now, Tesla were at an all-time high, which in my just haphazard way is probably not the time to buy in. Even Elon Musk said a few weeks before that it's way too high for his company's shares. But common sense would say that if they're going to do, this launch is going to go successfully, everyone is going to start knowing who Elon Musk is, even if they don't already. If you can't buy in SpaceX, then you buy the next best thing, Tesla. So I bought and put a small amount of money in Tesla, about £20, I think, £25, whatever. And sure enough, they didn't launch that day. They went to the Saturday, and they launched successfully on Saturday. And sure enough, within 3 or 4 days of the launch, or straight off the bat, I think Monday, the trading opened, and they went up a significant amount. And I think they're about $1,000 a share at the moment. But I bailed before that point because I could see that I'd jump on the rise because of the infamy of sending these astronauts successfully into space, which they did, which is incredible. And then I jumped out of the stock because the chances are it was going to go down. It did go down, and then it went back up again. But I don't need to be on that roller coaster. Right, nextly, a couple of days ago, I bought shares in AstraZeneca, again, a small amount of £25 worth of shares, because these guys, and again, I got this tip off of TikTok, of all places, which is mad, but these guys are working on a cure for inherent blindness. I've got no ties to that, nothing brought in, but I thought, actually, it says if they do, and I think they must be relatively close. No, actually, this is wrong. That's Editas Medicine. That's the one at the bottom, as you can see here. I bought into these guys yesterday because they are working on a cure for inherent blindness, and if they do work that cure out, and they must be relatively close to make it public, then chances are that's a real slow burner, but that could go a long way. And looking at their stock over time, it's not too bad. It's not an expensive stock, and if they pull this off, then that's going to be worth a bit. So that's something I'm just going to leave on the back burner. And finally, sorry, AstraZeneca, I'll go back to these guys. This company here is an enormous UK pharmaceutical company, and they approached one of the largest American pharmaceutical companies about a merger. And again, it was a TikTok or a YouTube video from an investor, kind of tip off, but it's public knowledge that these guys, if they do merge, will become one of the world's largest pharmaceutical companies. So I thought I'd buy into that, £25 or whatever it was. Yeah, I think there you go. You can see the return at the moment is at 0.8% at 22 pence. Not much, but if they pull off this merger, then I think they're going to go someplace. And I think they're a big enough company to not actually fluctuate that much in stock. As far as am I going to make a loss in it? So that is another, sort of I'm bought in, and we'll see what happens. So this is all long-term stuff. It's not short-term. I think if anything, the Aston Martin stock will go. That's the only one in my mind going, actually, I need to jump before that does anything. But it is, it has been growing. It is a grower. So we'll see with that one. But that's my portfolio. Actually, that's one of the first times you can see absolutely all of them are in the green, which is nice. And, in total, I've invested £150 and 16 pence, and I've made a return of £30 so far. So it's not going to make me wealthy by any point, but all I do is keep adding little bits in, watching out silly little platforms like, it's not silly, but TikTok, YouTube, the unlikely places that you'll get market news. I do look at and have a couple of market news apps that I keep a tab on, but like I said, I'm haphazard. I do things half-assed and on a whim, and follow my gut, and it could well be wrong. So if you want to like and follow and catch up some more tips as I make some trades, I will let you know. And hell, if all those gurus are correct, then I will make an enormous loss and you can laugh at me. I'm Neil, the haphazard trader. More luck than judgment. Thanks for watching.